Hello and welcome to the Busy Man's Guide with me, Paul Adams. And before we even start this vlog, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's supported me so far by watching the videos, by liking the videos, by sharing and by subscribing. For the last couple of weeks, I've been asking for people if they could subscribe to help me reach my first milestone of 100 subscribers. I've done that now, so thank you very much for that. 100 subscribers doesn't seem like a lot, but what it does, it allows me to name my channel. So it's not just XFP2170, whatever it is. It actually is now youtube.com/Paul Adams Photo, so it's easier for people to find me. So thank you for doing that. Just very quickly, a big shout out to my 100th subscriber, LeBouf, and I hope I got that pronunciation right. Thank you very much for that. I've put LeBouf's channel linked in at the end of the video, on the end video, so you can check out LeBouf's channel. There's some good content on there, so do make sure you watch out for that. And if you want to help me reach my next milestone of 500, do like Peter McKinnon, smash that subscribe button and get me to 500 subscribers. Now, some of you will be aware of my friend Philip Lee of Crytan Photography. You might be following him on Instagram or Twitter, or you might be subscribed to him on YouTube. I've done some videos with Phil earlier on, so if you want to go back and check out the videos that we did with him. Now, he's got a quote on his Instagram page which says, "Amateurs worry about gear, pros worry about money, masters worry about light, I just take photos." And that quote, I don't know if it was Phil or not. Phil, if it was, you can leave a comment below and just let us know if it was you or where you got that quote from. But that quote totally resonates with me, and I think it resonates with a lot of people because they don't want to get involved in the whole science. If you want to be a photographer, it's a very, very simple process. However, there's a lot of people, and maybe they're doing it purposely, maybe they're just doing it because of the way that we all learn. They kind of flex their knowledge a little bit, and that confuses a lot of people because there is a lot of variables in photography. There's lots of numbers, there's lots of formulas, there's lots of rules, and people get bombarded with them and get scared away. Now, I'm not trying to be controversial and say that don't listen to those people because they do know what they're talking about. But sometimes when we learn something so much, we kind of get blasé about it, and we like to demonstrate our prowess at what we do. And sometimes we just need to take a step back and remember that people are learning. And that happened to me a lot when I was learning. And I probably still do it to some people as well. So I've always avoided doing this vlog itself. But after a conversation with Steve, he made me realize that maybe it's a good idea because I've got new people coming to my channel who like what I do and like what I say and want to hear what I have to say about it. And I may be able to help influence them a little bit more than some of the people that I followed, if that makes sense. So that's the reason why I'm doing this video. So you've decided you want to be a photographer, but you don't know where to start. Well, the likelihood is you've probably already taken the photos, otherwise you wouldn't be here in the first place. But some people want to know the very basics. There are lots of different types of cameras out there, from instant cameras to bridge cameras to SLRs, DSLRs, mirrorless, compact, and smartphones. And pretty much everyone has a smartphone. So if you're not sure about photography, why not just use a smartphone to begin with? Get to know your basic controls and go out and take some pictures. The only way that you're really going to learn is via experience. It's all well and good knowing what you need to do, but only by experience will you progress and really understand. It's like driving. You know, once you pass your test, that's when you start learning to drive. It's that kind of thing. So in this case, just go out and do it and have fun doing it. Now, that's not just my advice. That's advice from many, many different people. And I strongly agree with that. And if you want to stop there, that's absolutely fine. But for those of you that want to continue and look at becoming more professional and maybe earn a living from it, unfortunately, the art is not the only thing that you need to learn and develop, if you excuse the pun. But it's about the science as well, and you have to include the science. Essentially, as a photographer, you're capturing light at its most optimum to create the perfect picture. But what is the perfect picture? Well, it's made up of three variables. That is light, time, and sensitivity. Or is aperture, shutter speed, and ISO or ISO. Before we talk about each of those variables in turn, you need to be aware of the exposure triangle. You're going to hear this banded around a lot. I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, But basically, it is an equilateral triangle where each angle is completely equal. And in those angles is each of your variable, which is ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. If you change any of those, you need to make adjustments to keep the triangle equal. And that's how you get the perfect picture. So for example, it might be quite dark, so you want to increase your ISO, or you want to open your aperture wider, or you want to open that shutter for longer. So as soon as you do any one of those things, you're going to have to adjust something else in order to keep it balanced. So first up is shutter speed. What is a shutter? A shutter is a mechanism that sits in front of the lens, the opening of the lens, and when you press your capture button, it'll open up, allowing light to come in so that you can capture the picture, and then it will close again to block that light again. Why are we concerned with the speed or the length of time that the shutter's open? It depends on which type of picture you're taking. Now imagine you're taking photos of a car race, like a Grand Prix race, or you're just taking a fast car, or maybe an animal chasing after prey. If you have a longer shutter speed, you allow more light in, and because things move around, you'll see them in different positions, and that shows you the motion of whatever your subject is. Adversely, if you want to film a football match or a race of some kind and you don't want that motion blur, you want to capture exactly what's going on, the drama as they call it, in that picture. Maybe a bird swooping down to catch its prey. If you have that shutter open too long, you're gonna miss a lot of it because you're gonna see the motion. Whereas if you have higher shutter speed, say 500th of a second or even more, you will freeze that subject in time perfectly, so everything is clear. Next up is ISO or ISO. Doesn't matter what the letters stand for, but basically it acts like a kind of a dimmer switch. In your digital camera, you have a sensor at the back, and when the light is allowed into the camera, it projects the image on that sensor, and that's what captures your picture. If you're using an old film camera, your film is your sensor, so it's the same thing. Now, you can capture the amount of light that is there within the picture. But sometimes you don't want to capture all that light. You want to capture a minimum amount of light. So it acts like a dimmer switch or a brightness switch, if you like, on your TV or on your monitor. The lower the number, the dimmer the light. The higher the number, the brighter the light. And that's what you're capturing. You're controlling how much light is captured with the ISO. So the third and final variable is aperture. What is aperture? Essentially, aperture is the size of the opening that allows light to come in. Very much like the pupil in the human eye. When it's wide open, when it's dilated, it allows more light to come in. When it's contracted, it allows less light to come in. We measure aperture by how much light we're stopping from reaching the sensor. The wider the aperture, the less light we're stopping, so the lower the number. The more contracted the aperture, the more light we're stopping, so the higher the number. And it's as simple as that. So why do we want to control how wide the aperture is? Well, it depends on the type of focus that you're after. So you've got a subject and you want to get the whole of the picture in focus. And what you need to do is you need to narrow that opening so that you can have less light coming in, so the majority of the picture is sharp. But if you want to specify one particular point of focus so that it stands out from the rest and stands out from the background, you open as wide as you can for that image to allow more light in, and then you can focus on that one point while blurring out and ignoring the rest of the image. So hopefully that does go to explain aperture, ISO and shutter speed in an easy way. It wasn't actually that easy to try and explain it to you, but hopefully I've conveyed that it is easy. It's just in the explanation that's quite difficult, but the actual doing of it is very, very simple. So that does bring us to the end of today's Busy Man's Guide. Please make sure that you do like and hit that subscribe button to help me reach that 500 subscriber milestone, and I'll do something special with that. Do click on the links below to get more information on what we've talked about today. And suffice to say, stay sharp, stay focused, stay busy. We'll see you in the next guide.